Welcome to another edition of It's the Story That Matters. I am Ezekiel Drews, the man in a pink suit, founder of the Milwaukee Independent Film Awards and Lucid Films. And with me today is Daniel Wheeler. Thanks for joining, Dan.
Thank you.
Appreciate you jumping on here. So let's get right into it. I see you're very festive. You've got the Christmas tree in the background, so
Yeah.
just appreciate that. Um,
Yeah.
Daniel, you and I have known each other for a bit now. I think that you and I met, if I remember correctly, back on set for Rise of Dearmageddon. Is that right?
Yes. Yes, it
Yeah,
was. Yeah, we both play a brother to Dan Davies' character.
that's right. Yes. Good times on sets. And, actually, that was just the start of our brotherly bond, if you will. Uh,
Hmm.
so I know that you've got a couple projects that you've either been working on or are working towards. And then you also, last minute, we brought you in for the Deep State. So, which also had the sneak peek trailer world premiere at MIFA on
Yeah.
Sunday the 7th. So thank you again for last minute coming in and gracing us with your presence. I really appreciate it. Good to work with you on another project again. So well, let's talk about your different projects that you got going on. So I know that last year for MIFA, you had submitted The Last Witch in Wisconsin. So I'd love to
Yes.
revisit that so we can talk about that a little bit more. That's still going through film festivals, is that right?
It has finished its film run. It's
Oh, it has. Okay.
yeah, so it's a little over a year. Might be a couple stragglers out there, but yeah, it's pretty much run itself. So to the point where I've put it up for full viewing on the website, artdepartmentfilms.com. So people can go there and watch it. It's a short film, about 13 minutes, and yeah, that was the kind of the first jump into filmmaking. As opposed to like YouTube videos. I mean, I've worked with video a lot, but it was more never for like the big screen was its output, and so yeah, it was great to be at MIFA and to see last year The Last Witch in Wisconsin play in West Bend at that amazing theater. And then this year to see The Voice of the Vessel play at the UWM Cinema, which also has a closeness to my heart because that's where I went for undergraduate.
Yeah. And speaking of MIFA last year, so your film at I can't remember exactly, but I definitely know that everybody always still talks about how awesome uh, uh, award-winning mother of Craig Kennett, uh,
Yep.
Karen got best act. It was best supporting actress
Important actress.
for MIFA last year in a short film, which is fantastic. And if I remember correctly, was that her first time acting?
Yeah, I think she has been in some things with Craig. She wasn't new to film and in the creative world because of her son Craig, and so I think she's helped Craig in multiple ways, maybe acting as well. But yeah, it's not her passion. She doesn't really seek it out. So um, it took a little bit of uh, convincing to bring her on board for this because it's a major role, and there were going to be a lot of lines, but I did it in such a way where I said, Karen, I really need you for this, but what I'll do is I'll feed you the lines, you'll say them back, and then I had it in my mind how much I could edit around that. So one
Mhm.
line, we see Karen say it, there's a pause, now I give her the next line, and then she says that. And between that pause, we cut from her saying it to me reacting to it, cutting
Mhm.
back, so a lot of pre kind of editing in my mind, which when you have to do it all yourself or want to do it all yourself, that's a nice benefit of it because you can decide how this is going to work, and you don't have to explain it to somebody else that has to edit this crazy mess you just gave them.
Yeah. Well, and I remember hearing that story about basically just having to feed Karen the lines and everything. And that's, that's the beauty of making a film is like if you know for a fact that you got to do something, you can figure out a way to like I can make this work. And, you did that and it was well received. A lot of people loved the film. Everybody loved Karen as mom as the part was realized and just overall such a solid film. And then you mentioned before the voice in the vessel got to play this year at the end of Saturday night. So we had a 3-day festival for MIFA. And day 2, we had a solid amount of filmmakers that actually came down from the Oshkosh, Appleton area for the evening. And so it was, it was a really nice show of people in, I was going to say the upper part of Wisconsin, but I'm in the very bottom part of Wisconsin in Milwaukee. It's more like the middle of the state, almost kind of.
Yeah.
But it's very nice to see, you and everyone else that came down, and just the talent level that we saw. And I know this is your second major project that you were talking about for making film. But for anybody that's not seen The Voice in the Vessel, or had a chance to for whatever reason, if it's obviously that's still going through film festivals at the moment here, hopefully there's going to be more opportunity for people to see it. Give people just kind of like a high level overview of what The Voice in the Vessel is about.
Yeah. So it's a short film as well, about 10 minutes. And this one, the story behind it is there's a grieving father who lost his wife, and his son is in a coma currently. And so he's kind of caught in limbo, grieving, but sure, not fully grieving yet, doesn't know how to grieve yet for his son. He doesn't know the outcome yet. So in the story, there's one main actor, and there's one actor. There's Jason Buss. He plays the character of Aaron, and we have him go into his grandmother's attic because it's been sold, and up there he finds an old familiar toy. I guess you'd call it that. It's an automaton, which is just like a coin operated machine that you'd probably be familiar with. Like you'd find them cast iron old things on boardwalks, or if you're familiar with the movie Big.
I was going to say Big. Everybody knows Big or Tom Hanks,
Everyone
right?
knows Zoltar. Yeah. And I love those things. They're I mean, of course, who's not afraid of Chuck E. Cheese and Five Nights at Freddy with the modern automaton. But yeah, this one was it's meant more look like a relic that was maybe from like the boardwalk in Coney Island back in the day. And so he finds it, puts in a nickel, and it starts spitting out cards. Now we hear a typewriter in the body of the machine, so it's assumed that these cards are typed out specifically for the person that put in the nickel. So that's where it starts blurring the line between supernatural and this kind of surreal, magic realism that I wanted it to kind of cross over.
Yeah, and the automaton, the vessel, the voice in the vessel. You are the voice in the vessel.
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
So I was going to say, don't discredit yourself. There's one physically embodied actor on screen, but there is your voice that comes through. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, Dan's got this like nice bass voice. I'm like, yeah, here's how I talk. And then Daniel's like, this is the way that I speak. Like very like I'm like, man, I wish I could just do that with my voice, just free reign. So
Right.
but definitely, and some of the parts that are a little bit freakier and stuff, like the vessel, the head like turns and follows Jason as he's walking around. Very, very creepy, very spooky and stuff. But so I gotta ask, so because you don't see it, was there like a stick inside that you're like rotating around, or okay,
Hmm.
I
Yep.
got you.
It was yeah, so the the vessel's about maybe 3 feet tall or so, maybe a little less, but it's a tabletop adornment. And so then I made the table, that pedestal that it's on, and you're correct. Yeah, there's a pole that runs through its neck, which is on a swivel, and it goes down to the ground. And at the bottom of it, of the pole, is a T, so and two strings attached, so you could go this way or this way. And I'm off set. Now we've a lot of, we have these lines being pulled across the ground, like we're about to do an old style TNT or something, and so that I can be off screen, working the neck as I'm also reading the lines to
Hmm.
Jason, so he knows what I'm going to say. So it was it was probably quite a an interesting um, concept on its own. But I at one point I'm like, well, I could do like a remote control with the neck and all that. But you know what? As you know, as a filmmaker, it's going to break the day you need it.
Yep,
So
hundred
I'm like,
percent.
nope, analog. We're doing all analog. So yeah,
I mean, that goes just to show is that, sometimes, you could do a lot of stuff if you get really fancy, but practical effects sometimes are really just the easiest way to go.
yeah.
And, you do a lot of art, just kind of a lot that I've seen. And obviously I know that you made the Witch in Wisconsin. I know you made that mask as well. You handmade everything for the voice in the vessel. So I was curious in the film, you see that there are kind of like old blueprints, and I got to ask, did you kind of like make it using those kind of blueprints and stuff, or are those just kind of more just the fictional, like this is, or is it a mix?
It's yeah that the blueprint um, was an after choice because it is what allowed us to use this beautiful location's basement. So I talk about the attic, which is amazing, and you can see some of there's stills on the website. You can see it at, um, but so this beautiful house in Green Bay had this old, huge vaulted ceiling exposed, and it's filled with everything that an attic should have. So we didn't have to do any kind of production placement on that. But then the owner showed Jason and Nate, the cinematographer, when they were scouting it, he showed them, oh, we have this cool basement too. And so they went down there, and it is, I don't know what the term would be, but it feels like it was field stones glopped together with cement, and it's all very old. And and then there's all these handmade rickety shelves that aren't quite straight, and every shelf is filled with some kind of glass jar. Like just imagine a million pickle baby jar glass jars filled with you know it seemed like there's an organization and method to the madness, but yeah, filled with every kind of screw and hanging device. And so anyway, we needed to get down there, and so I'm like, okay, well, what's a reason you know, for Jason to go down there. And I'm like, well, basement, we have all these tools around, all this junk. Um, let's make this old, antiquated looking blueprint of the vessel that's up there. And it just adds, it's one of those, sorry, you're not going to get any more information. Who made this? Now well, if somebody made it, maybe his grandfather, maybe his grandmother, but it adds just another of mystery to open-ended question. That. So yeah, I made that after the fact, and I'm glad I did because it's really fun. I love I can't remember the term, but like explosive diagrams where they're just kind of like the heads off here and then there's this and this and the two eyes are popped out here and they're labeled like an architect would
Yeah.
and they have all these. crazy kind of um, uh, names to them, like, the eyes of enlightenment, or, and the body is like the secret chamber, stuff like. So it's again, wink to that magical kind of surrealism.
Yeah. Well, it's very well done. It adds a lot to just the depth of really just the film because um, without that, it's a little bit shallower of a film. Not that it wouldn't be good, but just having those extra layers, sometimes that's what makes a film really just pop. And obviously, the fact that the Voice in the Vessel is a film that we recognized at MIFA with the Milwaukee Independent Spirit Award for short film, one of five that we had this year. By the way, we had over 211 submissions to our festival this year. Now,
Wow.
they weren't all because different scripts and whatnot, but
Okay.
there was very very many. There was at least like 50 submissions for the Spirit Awards just themselves. And so I'm happy to say that, even though you were one of five, you were still one of five out of 50
Yeah.
that we recognized because that's such an amazing film. Jason Buss really brought his performance. It's the best work that I've ever seen Jason Buss do. I'm really proud of Jason. So if Jason watches this, Jason, I'm really proud of you. It was literally just the best that I've ever seen you do. I'm so happy that you got this. I remember speaking with Jason at the NIFA Awards actually, and he was talking about people asked him if what he was going to do with more, and he's like, "Well, this is the first time I've gotten to do a role like this," and I'm like, "If this is what he can do with the first time, let's see what else we can get him into." Just
Yeah.
because there's more depth and stuff that he can pull out, and I would say this is a great launching point to get him into more serious dramatic roles because I think he's done a
Totally.
lot of comedy.
Yeah.
But just seeing the dramatic turn is definitely something that I enjoyed personally. So, and then let's see. So your cinematographer, I know you said it was Nate. What's Nate's name again?
Nate Haben.
Nate Haben. Okay,
Yeah.
so Nate had some really great, cinematography. Especially just there's some shots that where it's kind of like above and whatnot, and those are just really really great for giving perspective and kind of setting the scene.
Yeah.
And this house you mentioned, this house, this was just somebody's house, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's in the historic area along the river in Green Bay. Beautiful, old, but huge houses. And now this is a house that's kind of been divided up and to smaller sections. And but the owner, he his father still lives there, and but so Jason found this, and I can't remember the full connection, but I think he put out a call out on like a Facebook page for beautiful old homes, and I had some pictures of what I'm looking for from Pinterest, and so he shared that, and he got he caught this great fish. And it's funny enough, it's there's a park next door or next to it, and across the park is where Nate Haben lives, so he just had to basically walk across and check it out. But yeah, Jason found that. He also found Nate, as they are acquaintances, and he really wanted to work with Nate, so he was kind of keeping Nate apprised of the vessel construction as I would send out, pictures of it and along the way. And so Nate was interested in it, and he was very interested in doing something more narrative. And so, yeah, he was a great cinematographer, and really put my production insurance to the test with those tall pictures from above, because he had to go up this rickety, stair where there was like one stair missing, like just a hole. I'm like,
Oh man.
are you sure you want to go up there? And he's like, we need this shot from up here. I'm like, all right, let's do it. But yeah, so it gives this beautiful eagle eye from the rafters, and we see Jason's character come in, and so it's like something's watching from above, which definitely the theme.
Yeah. Well, tell me about the inspiration for this. So obviously, I've seen the film and everything, but I guess, how do you get an idea like this automaton? I know you said it, kind of inspired a little bit by like, Zoltar and other automatons and stuff, but specifically this story, where did that come from?
Yeah, it has a big umbrella. I think the biggest part of it is why do bad things happen to good people? And then underneath that is the trolley problem, which if you're familiar with is, if you're
Hmm.
driving a trolley and it divides into two tracks, and on one is a single person, on this track is five people, you're going to have to hit one of them. Which one do you choose? And so most people are like, well, just the one person, less death. And then it ups the game by, well, that one person is your son. Now, who are you going to choose? And now it's not so easy. And so there was that idea. There's the biblical story of Abraham and Isaac.
Hmm.
And that choice right there, the choice to prove your love and um, loyalty by uh, you know taking your son's life is just that I remember from growing up was just a horrific idea, and then throw in some Monkey Paw and Twilight Zone. Just be careful what you wish for. So
Hmm.
all these things kind of coalesce into um, this big universal questions that the automaton kind of puts Jason in a real corner with.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely, there's definitely a lot of inspiration, it seems, from different stuff. Especially, it's interesting sometimes how many films get inspired just from Old Testament, scripture and stuff. So it's
Yeah.
very interesting, and I pleasantly surprised to hear that that was part of it. Um, so with the film, I'm seeing obviously you've got kind of a couple themes going on here. Like to do, it seems like kind of like some horror or some pseudo horror. So I want to know what's gonna happen next here. Where are we shifting to next? I know I have talked with you already about it, but this is for everybody out there who isn't in the know. What is the next project that you're kind of shifting to?
So the next one is a feature film, and it's called My Brother and Bigfoot, and it's a
It's a
kind of
horror
a
film, right? No, I'm
it's
just kidding.
it's an absurd comedy with heart, and so I love a good creative challenge, and I feel like I've given myself one where it's not that like think about Napoleon Dynamite. If you mix Napoleon Dynamite and the craziness, absurd characters with the absurd characters of Best in Show, and this is going to be a mockumentary kind of style. Um, Both of those really have, at below the layer of both below the layer of horror and below the layer of comedy, there's a lot of room for humanity. So like when it comes to horror, my favorites are like Rosemary's Baby and Get Out, and ones that are kind of slow, not Saw or something crazy. Although I do love Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but um, I think that's visually from that one. But yeah, and with comedy, I also like I said, Napoleon Dynamite. Love Monty Python's Flying Circus. Grew up with that, so that absurdist humor, and then with the story of my brother and Bigfoot. 15 years ago, literally, I shot something for Funny or Die website called The Bigfoot Hunter,
Hmm.
and so I had that footage. Um, and people are always like, what happened? In the end of it, he disappears, he's missing. So people are like, oh, we'd love to know what happened to him. And so that's kind of how this idea came about. Now, modern day me, Whitebeard, I play the brother of the missing Bigfoot hunter. And so Dan Davies is going to play a documentarian that's kind of hungry for a great story. He finds me, and he finds these old VHS tapes that my brother had shot out in the woods. And so we're going to be sitting down looking at that. I'll react to them, crazy stories. We'll cut to, people that knew him, that worked with him at Subway. This is kind of absurdist humor, but I want the arc to go from lovable loser to, misunderstood sweetheart, kind of. So to do that is going to be the fun challenge without it feeling saccharine or, to keep the sincerity and authenticity in there of these characters, but to go from this kind of absurdist humor to basically, it's really about this brother rediscovering his younger brother who was kind of, a black sheep, was kind of an embarrassment for this guy.
Definitely. Well, that definitely sounds like something that kind of, even though it's absurdist comedy, definitely just from horror, and Bigfoot is, I mean, what's not to like about Bigfoot, right?
Oh
Now,
yeah.
if you talk to Dan Davies, he'll tell you that some people come up to him and talk about, like, Dan Davies, I got this film idea about Bigfoot and aliens and their babies, or whatnot,
Right.
as he told me at least 3 times, but that's okay. Uh, but I just, as soon as I heard Bigfoot and Dan Davies attached to it, I said, it's not the same film, is it? No, it's got to be a different one. Uh,
Mhm.
and I was gonna say the fact that you're behind the wheel for that one is definitely gonna at least give it some really good credibility, and you've got some good people coming aboard. It sounds like there's a role for me, right?
There is.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be Bigfoot. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have that big a feet. But yeah, no, that sounds really like a fun time. Are you going to be pulling a lot of the people from in the Oshkosh Appleton area in for that one as well?
I am. Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of how I pick or cast is by meeting people. And so like with Jason and the voice in the vessel, I hadn't seen Jason's reel. I assumed he could act because he was in, he was there the day with us for the Rise of Dearmageddon,
Mhm.
and but he has the look. And talking with him, he has the temperament that this character would have. Same with Last Witch in Wisconsin. Karen was the quintessential, rural matriarch, and so she was, perfect. And not to downplay, you don't have to act, but in a way you kind of have to not act when with
Yeah.
some of these roles. You definitely helps if you have the skills to act, but then you need those extra skills to turn them off to come across as natural. And that's always the goal. And sometimes when people are like, oh, I can't act and I don't know how to act, and it's like, well, I'm choosing them not because I'm hoping you can do a impression of a 1840s gold miner. I'm choosing you because you have that natural look, that rhythm, that personality that fits this person. And I'm not gonna make people, carry too much weight. Dan Davies, he's a professional, so he's gonna be able to take on this role, give it that kind of Dan Davies exuberance, and then I'm gonna
Mhm.
try and put people around him to kind of temper that.
Right.
Yeah,
Dan Davies is out there. You just got to pull everybody else in. You got
yeah,
it. So
he's got a
yeah,
strong gravitational pull there.
yeah. Well, that'll be great. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that in the coming. Well, when do you think that you're going to start kind of flushing that out more?
Yeah, so just kicked off the campaign. I mean, this is the first time I've really needed to raise a significant amount of money in my terms with my being able to do all the things and I've learned along the way, it's out of necessity of lack of money, and but of also wanting to control the end product. Um, so it does allow me to make something that doesn't cost as much as it might for somebody else. But yeah, so we started the fundraising, and you can see the campaign and pitch deck at the website artdepartmentfilms.com. And uh, soon we'll probably, these are all new things for me as far as raising money. So I suppose another level would be going to a crowdfunding after that, and we'll see. It'll get done. And I hope to start shooting, later in the new year. I mean, not too far, like February or something like that. But uh, again, it being mockumentary style, I get to kind of shoot it in chunks and then, put those chunks together. So like one day I'll be like, hey, Ezekiel, we got to do your character. We're going to do a Zoom interview. How about this Saturday? Cool. Dan, can you come over? Let's do it. Bam. We just shot that. That little segment's done. In a couple of weeks, so and so is available. We'll go shoot that fishing scene. So I do get the benefit of not like we got to figure out 2 weeks, shoot everything, because it's all in, one location, and that makes it more bite size.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, very good. Well, let's see here. So you told me the website. So artdepartmentfilms.com,
Yep.
where people can look at that, and then they can also see, it looks like, information about the voice in the vessel, the last which in Wisconsin, and also my brother in Bigfoot. If I see this right, they also can follow you on Instagram at Art Department Films, and anywhere else that they can follow you and what you're doing.
It's I've got all these, kind of I've got a Instagram for my paintings and 2D artwork. Um, I'm one of those that just, I understand the importance of social media, but and I start these little, I have a YouTube channel that's for called Mr. Wheeler Draws, and that's a totally different thing. It's meant for like brain breaks for grade school kids where I'll draw a story and I'll narrate it. And so, like, it's Goldilocks, and I'm drawing a scene from Goldilocks as I narrate it. So, um, I've got all these avenues, but for this, let's just focus on the art department films. And I'm gonna do my best to make an Instagram for it. I know it's very important, but it's just not, it's not my passion.
Gotcha. Well, so they can find a lot of your updates and stuff, artdepartmentfilms.com. They can also support your campaign. It looks like the aim is to raise $10,000 for the feature film. So it looks like you got a little bit of a start already on that, which is great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So very cool there. Um, and then you said, Instagram at some point. You're primarily focused on, hey, let's start making things happen, which is fantastic. Any other stuff that I might have missed that you want to share at all?
Let's see. No, yeah, I mean, it's just been kind of a whirlwind. I mean, it's been 2 years since probably the idea for the last Which Wisconsin came about. But um, my friend and producer, co-producer Tom Thorne, we met in UW Oshkosh. We were both going for late in life degrees of elementary education, and so we kind of connected, and he was telling me about the great circle of creatives in Wisconsin and filmmaking that he's been involved with. And so it didn't take long after meeting you guys to kind of make the leap to, well, yeah, that'd be kind of fun. I never really thought about how to get work into a theater and to get it on the big screen, and it's such a thrill to see your work up there, and it turns out to be a really good culmination of all my skill set that I've been building along the way. So it felt very serendipitous.
Very cool. Well, I'm definitely glad that we've so far been able to show both films that have completed post-production for The Last Witch in Wisconsin and The Voice in the Vessel. I am also, I don't remember if I did, but I'm going to be writing a review for Voice in the Vessel. And that'll be when I get that published, it'll be on the Milwaukee Independent Film Awards.com website underneath our reviews. So when I get that, I will be tagging you on Instagram and also on Facebook
Cool.
as well. Just that way we can keep helping promote your stuff. Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. Well, with that, thank you so much for jumping on with me today, Daniel. Really appreciate, just the chance to give, a chance for people who want to know more about this. Maybe they didn't get to come to a festival and see a Q&A for you, but definitely just giving them more thought process about what you do and how you're doing and where you're going from here.
Yeah, thank you. It's great, Ezekiel, that, to see you inspire me with, everything that you're doing with, your own movies and films, and then taking on this big film festival and doing it just like I've said last year, just out of the gate. Just you thought of everything, and it's ran smooth. It was beautiful. And it's a lot of days. It's not just one night. It's a lot of days, a lot of sponsorship, and just so yeah. I mean, kudos to you. And it's I'll say that before meeting everybody locally, I was always thinking like throwing darts out into the dark globally. Like maybe Mr. Wheeler Draws will be it, or maybe this Bigfoot hunter for Funny or Die will be it, and didn't do anything. It's just a puddle, or a pebble in a pond. So it wasn't until I'm like, let's rethink this. Let's look locally. That it is just amazing, and I'm not a big extrovert, seeker of that doesn't work. That's not really where I get my energy, but doing this is opened up my mind to collaborating and just the friendship and camaraderie. So yeah, thank you.
Well, at the end of the day, we all want to tell stories, and if we can help each other tell stories, that's all there is to it. Because in the end, it's the story that matters. I brought it back. Look, I said the title of the podcast. I've never done that before. Thanks for setting that up. That was great. But thank you. I appreciate the recognition. That's not why I do. I do it because I want to help other filmmakers, because there is just a need for recognition of indie filmmakers as opposed to just a lot of the Hollywood slop that we all have to just endure. So thank you for not giving up. Thank you for still making film, and thank you for continuing and planning on making more film, just so that way we can all continue to help with getting Wisconsin, especially on the map. So
yeah, we are a gem. I think people are afraid of us because of our notoriety.
It's the drinking. It's the drinking.
It's the drinking and the serial killing.
Oh, there's a topic for another time. Oh boy. On that note, thanks for jumping on with me, Daniel.
Yes.
We will be talking again very soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ezekiel.
Thanks, Daniel. Talk to you soon.